So it is truly my pleasure to welcome to the podium the Honourable Chrystia Freeland.
Well, good evening, Central Nova. It is wonderful to be here. Yeah. And I have to say, you guys sure know how to organize a nomination. I feel like I'm at the Oscars or something. You have like the videos, you have the Facebook, the little step comes in when necessary and then is slipped away. You've turned out a huge number of people. Extremely impressive. What a tremendous MP you have and what a tremendous community you are. And what a pleasure it is for me to be here with you tonight. So Sarah mentioned I was elected in 2013 in a by-election. I call that period the dark days of opposition. We were the third party in the little corner of the House. We don't want to do that again. And I wanted to start by saying thank you so much to all the Liberals in Central Nova who kept on being Liberal, who kept on working really, really hard, who kept on believing in our Liberal ideals, even when it was really, really tough to do. So thank you very much. And, you know, I'm impressed at that steadfastness and faithfulness, but I gotta tell you, as you've heard, I'm from Peace River in northern Alberta. And my dad has been a Liberal all his life. He even ran provincially. I think only family members of his voted for him. The day we win Peace River, it's going to be like we're going to have every single seat in the House on that day. I thought, by the way, I was probably the northernmost person here, but then Chris from Yellowknife is here. So it's really important, and I'm really grateful to you. Sarah mentioned the NAFTA negotiations, which you may have heard a little bit about. And that was actually what really gave me a chance to get to know Sean. Because as you all know, Sean, before he became your fabulous member of parliament, was a fantastic lawyer. He knows a thing or two about international law. And his expertise was incredibly valuable to me in a colleague, in a friend during our negotiations. So I really want to thank you, Sean, for the advice and for the support. It meant a lot. And really, there were a few moments when just talking to him was extremely helpful. And one of the things that Sean was so valuable for me to have in Ottawa, in our caucus, was he was one of the people who helped me, who helped us collectively to keep a stiff spine. Sarah, I'd love to meet your sons, because I would say polite but firm was kind of our motto during the NAFTA talks. The way I put it is, we say no, but with a smile. And in order to do that, you really need strong, smart caucus members who will support a position like that. And, you know, with hindsight, now that we have a good deal for Canada, it's easy to say we did all the right things. But there were moments along the way when people were criticizing us, when there were certain former prime ministers who said maybe Canada should be capitulating a little more. And we didn't capitulate at all. And it was absolutely essential for me to have people like Sean and to have Sean in the caucus prepared to say, you know what, let's stand firm. So thank you very much, Sean. And that's a reason that it was such a pleasure for me to go with Sean to the Michelin plant, because that was an opportunity for me, for us, to meet people whose jobs are secure because of the work of our caucus and our government and of all of you who got Sean elected. It really matters. Good government really, really matters. Having that continued access to the US market, it really matters for so many families here in Central Nova. And it's not just access to the US market. The other place that the Michelin plant exports its tires to is Europe. And our government has also successfully concluded a trade agreement with the EU, which has now been in force for more than a year. And I'll tell you, one of the things I love hearing the most is how, thanks to that trade agreement, a certain Atlantic lobsters are now the premier lobsters in European supermarkets, edging out their southern cousins. And it really makes me happy. And that's good for people in Central Nova too. I was really moved at the beginning of this evening to hear from Tarek. And what a great thing it says about all of you that he's here with us tonight and that you chose to have him start this evening. You know, I think sometimes we understand ourselves best through the eyes of newcomers. And Tarek, I just want to say thank you for being here. Thank you for what you are contributing. We are so lucky to have people like you, Syrian refugees, immigrants from all over the world, making their homes here across Canada and in Central Nova and contributing to our amazing country. I agreed with what Susan had to say about liberal democracy and about liberal democracy really being under threat in so many places around the world today. And sometimes, you know, I get a little bit depressed about that because I think, you know, in my lifetime, up until a couple of years ago, it was possible to imagine that we were on this sort of positive historical curve and things were getting better. You know, the circle of people who had rights, who lived good lives in liberal democracies like Canada, that was growing. The number of countries that were joining that open liberal democratic club was increasing. We seem to be on this positive, progressive forward march. And now we see there's nothing inevitable, actually, about liberal democracy. There's nothing inevitable about the open society. There's nothing inevitable about free trade. There's nothing inevitable about societies like ours that really believe and understand that diversity is our strength, and that protectionism can come back, that really ugly, angry, divisive nationalism can come back, that authoritarian leaders can beat democratic ones and can find support even among liberal democracies. So all of that is happening in the world today. And, you know, we should all have a piece of chocolate with Tarek, and he can tell us from bitter personal experience what that's like. But instead of getting too depressed, what I remind myself of is we can do something about it. And one of the things that I feel so strongly when I represent Canada outside our country is just incredibly proud of who we are as a country, of who we are as people. And the day I've spent in Central Nova today the people I've heard tonight have reminded me of why I feel that tremendous pride. We really are the strongest liberal democracy in the whole world. Isn't that astonishing? But it's absolutely true. And it's really important. We need to take that position of strength and do what we can to help people around the world. As Sarah described, we've done with a few of the amazing people who are the white helmets, but we also need to keep on doing our work at home. You know, the Prime Minister likes to say Canada didn't happen by accident and it won't continue without hard work. That is absolutely true, and it is true of our liberal democratic society. And that hard work for all of you who live in this incredibly beautiful, wonderful community starts tonight. Because the hard work of liberal democracy starts most profoundly in democratic elections and in the contest, which is a democratic election. We've been lucky enough in Canada to welcome some of these courageous Syrian white helmets to our country. And one of them said to me that he was 39 and he had never had a chance to vote. And he's so glad to be here because finally he'll get that chance. So all of us, I'm lucky enough to be born in Canada. That's our birthright. Being part of the democratic process is something we can do if we just decide to pick up the phone or knock on a few doors, or as we've heard tonight, write a couple checks. And that is such an important privilege, and it is an important responsibility. And, you know, I know that everyone here knows that. Otherwise, you wouldn't be here on, actually, it's not that cold a night, but it's a little wet on a wet and dark Thursday night. And I am grateful to you for your commitment to Canadian democracy. And I am so grateful to you for your commitment to the guy who, for your fantastic community, for Central Nova, is the guy who's going to fight for, maintain, nourish, and improve our amazing country. And that is the fantastic Sean Fraser.